We know that being a geek isn't just a hobby, it's a lifestyle. Join us as we invite special guests to share their love for the characters and worlds that shaped them. Are you ready? It's time to let your geek side show.
We sat down with writer Jennifer Muro, best known for her work on Lucasfilm's Star Wars Forces of Destiny, to talk about her Star Wars fandom, writing for geeky animated series, and more. Hey everyone, welcome to Look Who Stopped By. I'm here sitting in our studio with Jennifer Muro. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's good.
Now, you guys might know Jen as a writer. You see her writing credits on shows like Star Wars Forces of Destiny, Lego DC Superhero Girls, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man. Well, not the new movie, which is fabulous. That's
Oh
a
my
whole
God.
other thing, which would have been great and fabulous. But and
The
Justice,
new series.
the new
Yeah.
series, and Justice League Action as well.
That's
And
amazing.
Yeah.
So you're kind of an well-rounded geek, it seems.
I am, yeah. Like I used to have Star Wars parties when I was like 19 or 20, and I remember making a Ewok Wookiee runway like thing on Endor where it was like, there's someone on the runway. You have to like, and then we'd make like drinks and like have like certain signs and like we'd have like themed things in like basements. I was like, wow, that is so sad. But I'm like, oh, then all my stuff has come true.
Kind of like an around the world party, but for like different Star Wars
Yes.
planets.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's such an epic idea. I love that.
But it was like sad because there was like 13 of us. And
no,
like,
that's amazing.
I guess.
Oh
Well,
my
it
gosh.
paid off.
Yeah, it paid off. Because like, look, you learned all this stuff and now you
Yeah.
can create it
Utilize
and bring
it.
it to life.
And then looking at like I think what was it? I think I saw there was a marathon on for Return of the Jedi was just on because there's a marathon because
Right.
it's the holidays and I hadn't seen Jedi in a while. Return of the Jedi, not Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Now we have to make that
now,
differentiation.
right.
which is
The
like-
other day, the exact same thing happened to me where I said blah, 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 Jedi, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, which one? And I was like,
it's like, oh God, that's a thing we have to do now.
yeah. And I was,
So-
and I had to like stop. I was like, Luke?
Right. You're like, I don't know, like, Ewok-y furry things.
Yeah,
that one.
the one that took place in NorCal.
the Fuzzy Bear Moon one.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see that and go, oh, holy moly, I did that. That's a thing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy. And my friend Javi Grillo-Marsois, who he's doing the new Dark Crystal, and he wrote for, and they just announced that Mark Hamill is going to be on that.
Yeah.
And I had tweeted him, I said, he was like, oh, I wrote for Mark. I was like, hell yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. And Mark Hamill liked that. And I was like, my day's done now.
I
That's
remember
fantastic.
seeing like you, because you work in the way where sometimes you can't talk about the thing that you just did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a year.
So I just remember your tweet where you went, I finally can talk about how I got
my
to write
gosh.
for Mark Hamill.
And they're like, what's your favorite thing? I'm like, well, right now, this is the thing. And they're all fabulous, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, nothing is going to usurp that moment.
Right.
And it was like a year later after I could talk about that. Yeah. And now I can. And now I can breathe. And
So what did that feel like?
it felt weird because it was... Well, that for me, it was Empire Strikes Back, and it was Dagobah, and I know it's just an animated thing, but it's canon, and they tell me it's canon, and that's terrifying and amazing. And they're like, "Do you know how many people wrote for Empire Strikes Back?" And like I guess I'm one of them, I suppose. I'm like, I can't, like, that's silly to me.
You're
but,
being
like,
so humble right now. You wrote for Empire Strikes Back
Yeah,
in
that's-
canon storyline.
yeah, that kind of like I need to
She's
jump
turning
out of,
red right now, guys. It's adorable.
I need to jump out a plate glass window because I can't function with that information. So my 19-year-old self is going, oh yeah, you're making cocktails in a basement. Guess what you're going to do in a couple of whatever. I don't even know how old I am, but there you go.
It's like, but that to me is so cool. 'Cause
That's fandom at its
heart and at its
heart,
core.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's like you're like, well, the tears cry. Like that's real. Like it's like dreams do come true. So it's like how Disney of that. You
I
know?
know.
And actually, ironically, because now they own them. But that's a whole
exactly.
thing, so.
And then you've also written for Marvel, and you're a Marvel
Yes.
fan as well.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, X-Men was my jam. I mean, like the '90s X-Men.
Oh, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why that was the whole Psylocke, and that was a great time. So yeah, and then I got to, and I hope to get to do more. I mean, there's so much going on, and there's the new Marvel Rising that they're doing, which is great and fantastic, and that the Spider-Man series I wrote for was super fun, and it was Kevin Burke and Doc Wyatt. They ran that, and they're fabulous. And I hope we get to do that again. And then I got to do like Justice League and Wonder Woman and Batman.
And Wonder Woman.
Oh my God, that was like that was crazy. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? And it's so funny. My episode, and it's so not Wonder Woman, but like Jerry O'Connell played the Atom in my episode. I was a huge Sliders fan.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, I get to write. And Jerry was great about it. We tweeted back and forth about that, and it was like, wow. This is all real things. This is like,
So
like your nerd brain blows up.
When do you think your first kind of realization that my fandoms have come to life in this like incredible way? Like, what was that project for you?
I think it honestly, because it was before Star Wars, I think it had to have been Justice League.
Yeah.
Because I had pitched an episode that didn't end up getting made because Paul Dini had a similar thing. And so they called me up and were like, oh, so Paul has this thing. And I'm like, yes, I can be usurped by Paul Dini.
Yeah.
That can happen anytime. That happened. And I walked into Alan Burnett's office, who was Batman the Animated Series, and I looked around and he had his cells. And I'm like, that's when it hit me. I was like, my brain exploded, because I worked at the Warner Brothers studio store in the 90s, and like those animation cells were there, and it was like, and I remember like Animaniacs and Freakazoid, and I remember knowing about Rob Paulson and Maurice LaMarche, and now they're my friends, and it's strange. And like one of my best friends is Charlie Adler, who was Buster Bunny. So it's like all of this stuff, it's like in your life now, and it's so bizarre. So I think that's the first time. I think Warner Brothers was the first time, and DC was the first time. That's amazing. And then Star Wars happened, and everything else happened. It's like, then like you just can't even function. Then you just crawl into a ball and just enjoy your tequila and cocktails.
I completely relate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, it's it's like Star Wars was my first love, but being able to be here at Sideshow and be able to talk about this with you on this level, like we get to geek out over things that
this is our jobs. How is this like?
This is life now.
I'm like self-flagellation. I'm like, this. I don't deserve this. This can't be right.
Yeah.
Like the other shoe is gonna drop.
Like I have imposter syndrome like every single day.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
Someone's gonna figure out that like I shouldn't have this life.
Yes, and like walking the hallways now, like. This place is incredible, guys. I don't know how many people have seen it, but it's fabulous.
Yeah, we try to put up like inside the studio pics sometimes on our social.
It's not ugly. I'm just saying.
Pretty amazing.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, like even because I know I have a lot of voiceover friends and people have come here and we all geek out. Like we're nobodies. It doesn't matter. Like it's all one common denominator of.
Because we all love the same things.
Yes, and we're like, oh my God, that's the most amazing Batman statue ever. And you're like, oh my God, is that an IG-88 over there? And then we freak out and they're like, oh, there's an IG. Like it just doesn't end. So thank you for destroying our brains.
Thank you for destroying ours.
Yes.
Because Forces of Destiny to me was, first off, it's like how we met was through that and Forces of Destiny.
That was at Star Wars Celebration.
Star Wars Celebration. So our first like base, like we're going to be best friends, right?
Yeah.
Because we both have this baseline for Star Wars.
It was so fun.
And then you got to write basically all the women.
Yes. Yeah, like Rey and Jyn and
Leia.
And Leia. I mean, I can't even deal with that.
I know.
Which is crazy. And who am I for? Oh my God, Sabine and Hera. And I got to write canon that Hera was at the Battle of Endor. And that's a thing now.
Just going to ask you about that.
That's crazy.
Right. So Hera made it to the Battle of Endor.
Hera made it to the Battle of Endor. And it's and then seeing the end of Star Wars Rebels. It all came together, and Dave didn't tell me some stuff. So I'm sitting there bawling, crying with Jet Lucas next to me. We were at a friend's house watching the finale. Oh my God. And I'm like, Dave, you didn't tell me all this. Because I hadn't seen, like I knew some things, but I didn't know other things. And it's so funny I can mix that fandom in with knowing things. It's kind of fantastic. And but crafting that she was there and making sure like, wait, she's like, you know, Leia, like what's Leia's rank at this point? We just want to make sure we get it right. And that Han and her are fighting over like, you know, that like the Ghost is a better ship. And like that's crazy. Like that we get to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty nuts. That episode was insane.
That episode was probably my favorite of the Forces of
Me too.
Destiny.
And it's funny because like I think it was my birthday party. I had Shelby Young, who played Leia, and Vanessa Marshall, who played Hera, and they were at my house. Oh no, and I think AJ was there as well, who played my Han Solo.
Yeah.
So we're all watching, and they had not seen it yet. Oh, so it was like
and you got to show them on your birthday.
Yes, on the big screen, and it was like. I was like, my brain can't take this. Like, I'm done. Like, if the world explodes, this is fine.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing.
So how do you handle, because it's so cool to watch geeks get excited about things, because one of the things that we share is just our passion for all of this.
Yeah.
So how difficult is it, like scale 1 to 10, on keeping quiet when you just mentioned like you knew some things about Rebels moving forward because of your work on Forces of Destiny, but you didn't know all. You knew not to ask.
Oh yeah, no, everything's compartmentalized.
So how do you like keep the excitement in?
Oh yeah, and some things you can't talk about.
Right,
and even in the business, it's hard. Like. Sometimes, like, our friends will look at each other like,
"What do you know?
Like, what do you know?" And like, "Well, what do you know?"
Yeah,
and it's like the eyeball thing, and it's like, yeah, and it's. But I think we all know. We all take it seriously. We know not to tweet stuff. That's why I always ask permission. I think I had posted a picture of something, and I asked permission, but I think it got people got a little too excited. I'm like, okay, like we should pull this back, and it's a thing, and like, yeah. So it's hard.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's super hard, especially for, I think I didn't realize, not that I don't know that Star Wars is insanely big, but once you're in it, like everything you say can become like a news article. I'm like, I am not that important, really? Like what? So that's the lesson. So it's balancing the fandom with your job and your fans and your friends who are also in the business, and not only that, they're bigger and like it's and they have their thing. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a problem I never thought I'd have. It's a great problem.
It's a great problem.
It's a great problem.
So what do you have coming up? Anything that you're allowed to talk about?
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm sure there's things you're not.
There's things in the works that that are my projects that hopefully we'll see what happens in the next year going forward in live action as well as animation, and in primetime animation as well. Hopefully we'll see what goes on with that. But for actually things that are coming up, Last Kids on Earth is a Netflix series, and it's a book series by Max Braley, who's an amazing writer. It's basically Evil Dead for like 12, 13, 14-year-olds, and it's fantastic.
That sounds awesome.
Yes, and it's coming out in October 2019, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And it's fantastic. And we got amazing voice actors. I don't know who has been mentioned yet, but I was
like, just play it safe.
Well, I had suggested some people.
Yeah.
I had suggested, and we got them.
Okay, cool.
And it's going to be fabulous. Let me just tell you that.
That's so awesome.
Which is great. And then I am now, I'm running a room. I'm a head writer for a Crunchyroll series, which is coming out for an amazing female creator. Hopefully they'll be announcing somewhere between January and spring. And it is high fantasy and adult, and it is not mild. It is fabulous, awesome. And it is made for American audiences. This isn't here, and it has not been announced yet. But that's pretty vague, and that's all I can really say. But it's going to be high fantasy and fabulous, and people will enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference? Like, you mentioned that you're doing live action as well as animation. Is writing just writing, or do you look at things differently?
It's different in some ways where. One of my writers now was on Westworld, and they write very differently than us, which was like we can go wild now with anything because there's production things you can't do, and so we can go wild in one way, but in another way, because animation sometimes is short, we have to have an economy of words and think very visually and very storyboard like. So it's different in different ways. It's like you'd think. Like it's he's benefiting from us, and I'm benefiting from him, which is kind of fun.
But it seems like you both will grow and learn from the experience. So
yes,
that's
absolutely.
Awesome.
So it's nice, like writing in live action and talking to live action people and going more in that direction. They're like, oh, you noticed that in the script. Like no other writer I've met with has mentioned this scene and this scene, and like how visual it was. I was like, oh, that's because I'm in animation and I've just been trained to notice certain scenes in live action that other writers aren't really kind of mentioning what they liked about stuff.
That makes complete sense to me too.
Yeah, so it has benefited me going from animation to live action, thinking visually that other writers, I guess, maybe apparently have not. That's what I've been told. So I was like, oh, yay, I'll keep doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming by and talking to us for a little bit about writing and being a geek.
Yeah. Thank you. Always fun.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
So one last question is, do you have a character that you'd want to write for in any universe moving forward?
Oh, geez.
I know, right? Okay, let's pick the big three. One in Star Wars, one in DC, one in Marvel.
Oh my God! In Star Wars, I did Luke Skywalker, which is also I just said that sentence. Also Han Solo, I also did.
Yeah.
Leia. Oh Jesus, I don't
It
even
was like
know.
Leia, Ahsoka, like
Who have I not?
That's true. You hit all the majors.
Holy moly! You know what? Let's see who comes in the next movie.
That's
That
true.
would be fabulous.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean there is. Honestly, I never touched A New Hope. Let's just talk a place. Like I would have loved to have done something. I would have loved to have touched A New Hope.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
a thing.
There we go.
Yeah, and honestly, Psylocke would be great for Marvel.
That'd
Would
be
be
fun.
fantastic. The X-Men. Like I would
You
kill
would
12
die.
people to
You
do
would
that.
be so
I'd
like
be super
so good at
happy,
it
like-
because you know all their
Yes.
histories and everything.
Yes, I will
so you'd be
slash
so
12
good at
people
it.
to get through to that. So, no, not really. But
But
yes.
really.
But yes. Sorry, not sorry. So that would be And DC. I mean, I've done Wonder Woman, but
Would you want to do like a Wonder Woman solo story?
yes, I think that's what it would be. And like honestly, Themyscira, I would love to do a story there and those characters.
How cool would it
A
be?
show. I've been talking about that forever. And if they do that without me, I'll be very sad.
my
But I'll be very happy for them. But I'll be very sad.
You'll be like, I'm so happy.
Can
for you.
I sweep the floors around you? You know, give you lunch.
I was
I'll
just
do that.
thinking that Mary Elizabeth McGlynn needs to voice Hippolyta.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you do your Wonder Woman
She'd be
show,
so mad
she'd
if
be-
that didn't happen.
I know.
And I would be mad for her and be
And
like, yeah.
she's going to be like, great, we put this idea in her head.
Yes, no, she totally does. Actually, for live action or for animation.
She could do either.
She can absolutely do
Oh my
both.
gosh.
Yes.
Well,
Ditto.
Jen, you're awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. You guys are listening to Look Who Stopped By with Jennifer Muro, and you guys are awesome. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to let your geek side show. Do you enjoy Look Who Showed Up? We are proud to bring you pop culture content completely ad-free, but that doesn't mean we don't need your support to help keep us going. Please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform and help spread the word about our podcast. We welcome fan feedback. Email us at podcast@sideshow.com with your thoughts and suggestions for how we can make our shows even better. Plus, tune in for our other pop culture podcasts. See your favorite common film characters evolve across 2 generations in the bi-weekly Then and Now podcast. Find out if your fan favorites make the cut in the Geek Culture Countdown, a bi-weekly podcast featuring pop culture top 10 lists. Then get all the latest pop culture news with our daily briefing, a 2-minute breakdown of the biggest geek headlines perfect for your Alexa or Google News briefings. We wouldn't exist without your continued support. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to let your geek side show.